She is our moderator today. I'm talking on behalf of her. She will not be able to give us the introduction as she lost her voice because of the sickness. Wishing her, yes, coming back
Speedy
to us
recovery.
and a quick recovery, inshallah.
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 How are you, Dr. Nancy? How are you,
I'm very
everybody,
well.
Dr.
Thank you.
Single
Thank
and
you. We're
Dr.
all
Farrell?
fine, I guess.
Thank you.
Nice to
I'm
see
good.
you all here.
Nice to see you, dear.
Likewise.
Yeah.
We are welcoming everybody in our Women in Ophthalmology Symposium. I think we can start with Dr. Parul Ishpujani to talk us about my journey in Ophthalmic Academy.
Mm.
The floor is for
Interesting.
you, Doctor. You can
Yes.
start.
You have to stop the screen share, or somebody has to stop the screen share. Yes.
Yeah, somebody there should control.
Yes, please. Yeah. Well, good evening, everybody. When I was invited by Dr. Amri to talk about something other than my main subject, that's glaucoma, I really was wondering what I should be talking about. And then I thought of sharing my journey in ophthalmic academia. Well, this by no means is an effort to show my personal growth in the academic world or my personal accomplishments, but it's a very humble attempt to inspire the young colleagues that despite limited resources in certain scenarios, if you follow your passion, you definitely can make your way through. So paths are made by walking, even if we take baby steps. Even a small forward progress is a forward progress. So that's something that needs to be recognized. And there are often times when we have sideways swings, but then that should not make an immense difference to our zeal. So the roadmap of my so-called ophthalmic academic journey starts about 13 years back when I finished my residency in India in a premier institute in North India. And then I went to do a dream fellowship with Dr. George Spaeth at Wills Eye Institute. And I think that's what was one of the landmarks that changed the course of my journey and that helped me find a foothold and to recognize my passion. Well, Dr. Spaeth is a very, very inspiring person and is well known in the field of glaucoma. He's also called the father of optic nerve. So the thing that I learned from him was to just adhere to what you really like and keep working on it passionately. He has been looking at optic disc, and I'm sure all of us have been looking at optic disc. And each time when we see a new patient, we find something new in them. And the journey continues. So from something as small as an optic disc to something as large as an entire academic schedule or curriculum for ophthalmology, there is no stopping. The journey continues each day. Another thing that I learned from that fellowship was teamwork. You cannot do anything alone. You need to collaborate, collaborate, and collaborate. And from each individual, we learn so much. And one common goal that I formed after working there was to learn each day and to learn from each person that I came across. And QOIC, I think, is one such platform in which I found a family in another country. Dr. Amri is really kind, and with joining him in all these sessions too, I had learned so much each event. So coming back home to India from US, I recognized that there were several challenges as an academician. There was a lack of funding or grants the way you have it in the US. You write a research proposal, you have ample money, you have the support of research scientists and of biomedical engineers and statisticians were apart, and that's not there in India. There is lack of dedicated time for research, so I have to juggle between my clinical duties, my surgical duties, and of course the administrative work. And there are no dedicated research fellows to make spreadsheets and to collect data and just put in their stuff in the paper. But then, despite all odds, I recognize that my passion is there in research and in academia. So for all the Harry Potter fans, I just remember one thing, as Dumbledore said, it's our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities. And just remembering this quote, I went on and kept doing the work and was eventually recognized by the ophthalmologist in top 40 under 40. Then an humble start into the world of writing began. And this was a very small book with Dr. Spate. And although the book was small, we kept it crisp with the latest. I am a traditionalist if we say that should we be reading only research papers and the books are getting obsolete. I still feel that it's a very comprehensive source of whatever we want to read about. So books for me can go from a hardback book to a softer version or an electronic version, but I guess they are not going to be out of date. Another thing is that I feel that we should continue working with our mentors and keep building upon whatever we have learned from them. And this was yet another step. Another thing which I learned from Dr. Spate was that you give the true credit to different individuals that come in your life and acknowledge teamwork. So these two large volumes I couldn't have done without their help, but I was acknowledged for the work, and I learned so much of ophthalmic surgery element with the videos and the different colleagues from across the globe that I have no words to describe my wonderful experience with this. Coming back to India again, this is my other mentor on the extreme right, Dr. Panda. We just did this book on the optic nerve head in health and disease. So just a message to the young colleagues here that you keep continuing work with your mentors even if you finish your fellowship, so you can build upon your work and you can diversify and keep revisiting the data and just build up your academic profile. It's a good idea to explore new routes. So then came the open access route. And we know that the open access books have a more global outreach. It was a collaborative effort of people I didn't even know initially, but we all joined in hands. And one of the best things about these books were, although that they were open access, the publishers did not charge us, and neither did the authors have to pay for getting their chapters published. So the journey continued and there was no stopping me. The writing helped me to learn and teach. Now then came the question by many that is the juice worth the squeeze? Is it worth putting in so much of effort in different chapters and running after different authors, writing and collecting data? Because there is a big subsection of peers that does not give as much respect to books and chapters as they do to research publications. But this, I believe, is like a scholarly service to our peers, to our young fellows and to younger colleagues, because not everybody can be updated with all the recent research material. So if the books are an electronic version, they are up to date and they provide a comprehensive resource material for the individuals to learn from. So I guess maybe it does not get you as much credentials in your tenure or a professional dossier, but definitely it enriches, and that's what I have learned. So moving ahead from single volume books to now a series by Springer. The series now has 10 volumes, and this is current practices in ophthalmology. We have a team of young editors for each volume, and I have edited about 4 volumes of this series, but each of them have brought in new zeal, new energy, and brought in so much of new data that it has been an immense learning experience. So the journey continues, and I think these can be good resources to fall back to learn and to see what's happening. And also, when I have learned so much from my mentors, I thought it's time to pass on the baton to the mentees. So I've been working now on contrast sensitivity. I have a lot of interest in smart applications and smart computer-based tools for testing. So we have now been working on Sparks, which has been developed by Dr. George Spate. It is a computer internet-based contrast sensitivity tool, which checks both central and peripheral contrast sensitivity. I have worked on it, and now my mentees are also working on it. So you pass on what you have learned from your mentor to your mentees so that the body of work goes on growing. We are exploring new avenues for changing practicing patterns. And of course, the database is also building up. So from the books, we also learned that the world is changing. Artificial intelligence is taking over. And then, so I, in my academic journey, also took some baby steps towards AI. I recently started working on a project by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology by Government of India. And we are now currently working on recognizing systemic diseases by fundus images. So this is a work in progress. And I guess it just tells us that with each year, despite our increasing age, we need to be changing with time and learn new skills. And there is no age to learn new skills. Learn about new portals. So Clubhouse is something that was really has come in fad, especially during the COVID times. It's a good idea to learn about newer things that are happening around the world. And there's so much to learn from women across the globe. And I guess Women in Ophthalmology is a very good venture that brings women together to share their ideas and to learn from each other. Not only it is about learning for ourselves, for learning for our students and learning for our colleagues, but I think we should also be sharing what we have learned with our patients. So these couple of books were there for the patients to teach them self-care and the importance of recognizing dis-ease, not just disease. So whenever they are uncomfortable, they have to recognize when to approach the doctor, how to find the right doctor, and multiple resources which are there online which can help them to deal with their disease. Although the books were focused on glaucoma, but the one on the left talks more about taking good care of yourself. Now, COVID actually wreaked havoc on all the plans, and just remember this thing that what's going right instead of what's going wrong. So we know that there were no physical classes and there was no teaching happening. So I just ventured into video lectures and recorded lecture series for undergraduate ophthalmology. So we need to be we need to get evolving with time and to explore newer avenues as well. So have I become a skilled sailor? Maybe, maybe not, but I'm not scared of rough waters anymore. I know now how to navigate my way. I would really like to navigate my way with the help of a few friends so that the journey becomes more fun. I'm open to collaboration, love to learn from my younger colleagues, and then I try to be a lighthouse for the young sailors. So with this, I would like to conclude my current ophthalmic academic journey, and I wish it continues for long. Thank you so very much.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Parul. Now we are moving to Dr. Singul Ozdek to talk to us about innovations in ophthalmology, or yes, no, the philosophy of pediatric retina.
Okay, now it's correct. Thank you.
Yeah, so sorry.
So I will share. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the introduction. Actually, I'm very impressed with the inspiring talk of Dr. Parul. I would like to discuss it later, I hope. I hope we will have time. Thank you.
I'm eager to.
Thank you. So my talk will be on the philosophy of pediatric vitreoretinal surgery. As you all know, pediatric vitreoretinal surgery is kind of a subspecialty, more than a subspecialty. So how did I just want to tell you, how did I come to do a pediatric vitreoretinal surgery? Actually, I was doing vitreoretinal surgery in adults for a long time. And it was like 10 years in 2010. And I was happy with the adult vitreoretinal surgeries, but I was not happy with the pediatric ones. So probably I was doing something wrong. Then I started to search for a place who can teach me how to do this in a better way. So then I went to Beaumont Hospital, which is in Michigan, and I went I talked to Dr. Tracy and Dr. Capone, who are the fathers of pediatric vitreoretinal surgery, and then they really taught me how to understand the pediatric vitreoretinal surgery. It's actually the philosophy of the pediatric vitreoretinal surgery. And I learned that pediatric vitreoretinal surgery has its own rules, its own complications, does not forgive faults, and does not accept apologies. We know that the pediatric eyes are small eyes, but they are not only the small eyes, but the anatomy is completely different. As you can see, the lens volume is much larger, and pars plana has not developed, and vitreous is very tightly adherent to the retina. Sclera is thin and elastic, and interpalpebral rim is very narrow, and you have very narrow space for maneuvers. And also retinal breaks are usually very catastrophic. You end up with surgical failure, and children usually do not obey the head positioning. And when there's PVR, it's usually severe and it's very frequent. And in addition to all of this, you also have amblyopia problem. And when you do vitrectomy, even this sclerotomy step is very confusing. It's only just 1 minute's issue for adult cases, but sclerotomy site selection and construction of the sclerotomy is one of the most important steps and time-consuming steps in pediatric vitreoretinal surgery. And I don't want to go into details because none of you are, vitreoretinal surgeons. So I don't want to make you bored with these details, but you can use any kind of gauge. We always try to do lens sparing vitrectomy if possible and do pars plicata entry. But if it is not possible, we have to do lensectomy vitrectomy. And the distance from the limbus to limbus is different in all ages. We start with 1.5 millimeter during the first 6 months and increase till 3 years of age. At the very beginning, we can start with a lateral cantotomy if the interpalpebral rim is very narrow. It can be widened with sagittal cantotomy to gain some more space. And when lensectomy is planned, we can use iris root entry, which may cause some iris root problems like bleeding and iridodialysis. Or we can use limbal entry with some advantages and disadvantages. When you do limbal entry, you don't need to do a cantotomy because the place is much better and the conjunctiva is protected for future glaucoma maybe, and which is very frequent in such cases, and also peripheral retinal damage is avoided by this. However, you have a cost for this, you have a corneal distortion and endothelial damage issues. And when you try to find a sclerotomy site, you should first check the pars plicata in the places where you need to do sclerotomy, and you should avoid from the retinal dragging areas to avoid retinal damage. And we always do conjunctival peritomy, and we avoid damage to the retina, and we always suture the sclerotomies. As you see here, the retina was pulled temporally in the temporal periphery towards pars plana plicata, even to the back of the lens. Then you shouldn't do any sclerotomy in that area. All nasal entries can be done. As you see, the infusion is in the inferonasal part. sometimes we need to do that. You can do 3-port sclerotomy or 2-port. I personally do 3-port sclerotomy, and I always place a pre-placed suture around the infusion to prevent the post-op hemorrhages, which may cause bleeding in these cases. And vitreoretinal surgery can be done to many diseases in pediatric vitreoretinal diseases. The first thing is, the eye is small, so you may need shorter trocars, and you can do it yourself. You can just use a small piece of silicone tube from any disposable tubing system and put it just before the cannula, so that now you have a shorter trocar. So this is a very small and useful gift. And another thing is, you see here the entry sites for a stage 4B ROP case. I do 25 gauge vitrectomy in most of the cases, and we always try to save the lens, so you have to be careful not to touch the lens. As you see here, the macular area was all covered with fibrovascular membranes, and it caused tractional retinal detachment in the macular area. So what we do is, after doing standard core vitrectomy, try to do membrane peeling as much as possible. You should always try to avoid from forming a retinal break. It's not the same thing as in adult surgeries. When you have a retinal break in adult cases, you just do a laser and put some tamponade and it's usually over. But in such pediatric tractional retinal detachment cases, when you have a retinal break, it may be sometimes the end of the surgery. You may have to leave the surgery. So you should do as much as possible without causing a retinal break. If you feel that it will be dangerous, then just stop it there and just leave it there itself. As you see here, we could do as much as we can, and then I always leave the eye in air in such cases, since you don't have any retinal break, and always suture the sclerotomies as you see here. And this is the post-op appearance of the case. So now this case can have some useful vision. And another, this is post-op. Another case, I want to show you another surgery. This is a stage 5 ROP case. You see, it's a total leukochoric eye. The retina was totally dragged towards the back of the lens, and we start from the center and try to peel those membranes layer by layer, starting from center to the periphery, and try to reach the retina. When you reach the retina, it usually goes itself towards backwards, and you can find some shallow retinal detachment areas, as you see here. And when you relieve the retinal traction, when it goes backwards, some parts of the retina becomes attached, and now it may give the child like hand motions or something like that. In stage 5, we don't expect too much, but you may end up with some ambulatory vision. That's really very important for these cases. So this is ROP surgery, is the most typical surgery where the surgeon should know where to stop. And perfect is the enemy of good, this saying by Voltaire, and we shouldn't let any iatrogenic retinal break. And I want to show you another case of Coats disease. This was a 3-year-old stage 4 Coats disease, and we have done an external drainage and vitrectomy and cryo and laser surgery for this case. As you see, it was a very severe one. Retina was again at the back of the lens. We started with an external drainage of the subretinal fluid, so that retina will be relaxed and go backwards. As you see, we repressurize the eye from the limbal incision with BSS, and then do the drainage again and again. We do this again and again until the retina goes backwards. When the subretinal fluid is gone, then retina goes backwards. with the BSS given from the limbal entry. As you see here, then we enter the eye, do just central core vitrectomy and try to do posterior highlight removal if we can do that, but we don't insist on it because it may cause some retinal breaks. We just do the vitrectomy, we just try to remove the very high level of vascular endothelial growth factor in the vitreous and all the other interleukins. And also we try to remove the membranes if there are any and do direct laser, as you see here, direct laser to the all the dilated vessels and telangiectatic vessels. And also we can do the cryo to the elevated parts if you like. As you see here, we started a cryotherapy double freeze technique to at most to 2 quadrants, not more than that. And then just we leave the eye in air. That's the end of the surgery. We just suture it and we inject some anti-VEGF at the end of the surgery. And this is the result you see. We didn't do any other treatment since 3 years to this case. This kind of surgery also stops the disease progress in most of the cases, and you usually do not need additional retreatments in these cases. You see the pre-op and post-op appearance. We don't expect vision, but we just try to preserve the globe. This is another case of persistent fatal vasculature syndrome with a very severe type of disease, which is closed funnel retinal detachment. As you see here, retina was totally closed funnel detachment, and it was like stage 5 ROP cases. These eyes are usually microphthalmic eyes, and these closed funnel cases, most of these closed funnel cases are unfortunately bilateral cases, not like the unilateral anterior PFV cases. This is different. And as you see here, we try to reach the retina as much as possible, again, doing the membrane peeling layer by layer, try to relieve the retina and try to open the funnel from the center at least. The main aim for these cases is just to get light perception or hand motions movement, because you see the funnel is opened here. You see some yellowish part, which is the macular, probably macular area. And this is the optic nerve head area. And now you have some retina, although shallow detachment. This patient has also some ambulatory vision, which is our the best expectation. And the last case I want to show is a 6 weeks old baby girl who was prematurely born at gestational age of 35 weeks, and birth weight was 1,600 grams. And we diagnosed this as familial exudative vitreoretinopathy. It was a bilateral case, as you see here. Right eye was more severe than the left eye, and the retina was almost totally just pulled towards the back of the lens. So what did I do is just did lens sparing vitrectomy, try to cut the membranes between the lens and the retina, and the retina was a tent-like structure there. And what we did is just to relieve those tractions as much as possible. It was impossible to peel all those membranes. If you insist on it, you will end up with a retinal break. So you just peel the membranes as much as possible and do the laser to the peripheral attached avascular retina so that it should not progress too much. That's the main aim of the surgery, one of the main aims of the surgery. And as you see here, we again leave the eye in air. We have done the same surgery to the fellow eye. This is the left eye. This was the better eye. As you see, the traction was much less. And then, as you see here, we could relieve the tractions. and did laser again to the periphery. We use triamcinolone again and again in such cases, and do triamcinolone in the peripheral avascular areas. And then what we end up with is this. This was the post-op first months of the both eyes. As you see, retina was almost attached, very shallow detached areas in the posterior pole. The left eye was totally attached, so this was the final appearance. So my take-home messages are, the first thing is, don't do harm to patients primum non nocere. And you shouldn't start with pediatric cases before you are done with adult with retinal surgeries. And sclerotomy construction is very important in pediatric cases. And we should always try to preserve the lens. And we should stop peeling membranes when there's a risk of retinal break. And we shouldn't forget amblyopia treatment in addition to all of these. I'd like to thank you all for your patience, and I want to add one more thing. Women always make difference, especially when it comes to pediatric issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Singhal. Now we are moving to Dr. Nikki Hafizi to talk to us about innovations in ophthalmology, paving the way for future generation.
Is Nikki with us?
Can we move? Yes. Dr. Hafizi?
Yes, good evening. I've provided
Hi.
a pre-recorded talk. Hello, how are you? Because I'm in
Fine.
transport from the airport. So I recorded my talk for this very reason, and I sent it to the organization, and they should have, and they confirmed receipt. So maybe it's an MP4 file, so hopefully they'll be able to perform it.
Yeah, please. Control.
Oh, there
Can you
it is.
share?
Wonderful.
Yes.
From an entrepreneurial perspective. In the talk today, I will share with you real-world experience in the field of ophthalmology. I hope that by the end of the talk, I will have demonstrated that innovation is much more than just commercializing a medical device. Hello, my name is Nikki Hafizi, and I'm a strategic management consultant from Group Event Consulting in Switzerland. I focus in the field of ophthalmology with specializations in entrepreneurship, intellectual property, medical technology, and healthcare management. Generally speaking, innovation is about improving the current state of the art. Improvements are easily recognized with an existing surgical treatment, medical device, or pharmaceutical drug. However, it's important to know that there's so many other aspects required after an idea is born. These aspects require extreme dedication, good partners, financing, and overcoming many risks. So if you have an idea, you need to understand what your end goal would be. You must consider what your true motivation is with this new idea. Do you simply want to earn money? Do you want to be recognized by your peers? Do you pursue the growth of a new company or business? Or do you simply want to help patients? In most cases, the question is not easily answered. I find that it's usually a combination of motivating factors that pushes a person to pursue this idea. Whatever motivates you, it's important that you know what your end goal will be. Once you know more or less what you want to do, then you have to understand why you want to do it. Is there another way of getting to a goal? For example, if you're interested in just being compensated for the improvement of your idea, you could directly speak with the company that's offering the current solution to this problem. The company may be interested in simply engaging with you or licensing your concept, and your idea is more readily implemented into the market and you're compensated. Lastly, you need to also consider how long you're willing to wait until your end goal is met. I find that it's usually a balance between time and money. When you're younger, you have more time but no money. But as you get older, the balance reverses. So consider what is happening in your life and see how long you're willing to take the risks and sacrifices to reach this goal. This concrete deadline will help establish a clear timeline to help you make decisions regarding your idea and your company. Keratoconus is the primary disease to which my team is focused since 2012. We're dedicating to raising awareness and early detection of this disease, especially in young people. A major obstacle in the field is this 1986 paper that states that keratoconus is a rare disease. However, the data collected was detecting keratoconus using an imprecise diagnostic tool, as seen here. With recent publications, our group, as well as many others, are showing that indeed keratoconus is not and should not be considered a rare disease. With the global population, a modern diagnostic tool like the Pentacam with Scheimpflug imaging is limited to only a few percentage of the global population. Therefore, despite the high technology that has been developed and is available, the access to this technology is still limited to the very elite. Therefore, the majority of the world has no access and therefore decreases the ability to detect this disease at an early state. Now let me show you a story that is still being written. A young and clever keratoconus patient visited Professor Farhad Afesi at his clinic here in Switzerland and was curious about the diagnostic measurements taken to detect keratoconus. After some discussions, Farhad introduced the patient to me and the idea of the SBK was born. The SBK is a smartphone-based keratograph. The SBK is designed to be affordable, portable, and simple to operate. The goal is to develop a diagnostic tool that the global population can afford and operate in order to support early detection of keratoconus. It took about 18 months from the initial discussion to the product development. Project planning, landscape analysis, freedom to operate, initial financing, market studies, and securing partners were all required before the development work could even start. Now, about 36 months after the initial discussion with this young patient, the working prototype has been created and initial clinical feedback will be collected next month. While the SBK is clearly a device to hopefully enter the market in 2023, it is actually a service that the SBK is promoting and supporting. This service would make keratoconus screening easy, quick, affordable, and now reliable. Especially in countries with high prevalence, this diagnostic tool would help reduce the need for invasive corneal transplants, especially in children and adolescents. Similar to the SBK project, I would also like to share the framework around bringing a product to market. The CI device not only was an improvement to the current state-of-the-art of cross-linking for keratoconus, but it also introduced a new treatment modality for corneal infections. The idea came to life in mid-2012, but it was only in October 2020 that the first device was commercialized. 8 years later may seem like a long time, but the leadership decided to bootstrap the company to ensure a high quality and clinically validated product to enter the market. The motivation was clear, but it meant that commercialization would take significantly longer since resources were limited. With the extra time needed, there were more obstacles placed into the path, making it riskier with every year that passed. In the end, the company successfully brought a product line to market. While it may look like the coast is clear, it's just the beginning. Now, the CI device must survive in a highly competitive market despite the current COVID-related restrictions. I believe that this product will prevail because of the strong names, reputations, and evidence supporting it. Visually speaking, it's like launching a ship on its first voyage. The ship was constructed with the very best engineers, highest quality of materials, and based on principles of the KOLs in the cross-linking industry. But only time will tell if the ship will survive the voyage, sailing on unpredictable and volatile nature of the sea. Switching gears, I want to present and focus that innovation should not be limited to a service or product with the SBK or the new device like the CI device. Innovation in ophthalmology can also be seen in developing processes that improve and advance the field. The end result is the same, which is improved patient care, but that means the end goal is different. Specifically, the process that Farhad and I have been building is what we call our business ecosystem. This ecosystem assists to help facilitate the process from idea to commercialization. By having internal access to the different milestones in medtech development helps to reduce costs and increase efficiency. To help it better explain what I mean, I will show you. Group Events Consulting is, of course, a consulting firm that specializes in intellectual property analysis, market studies, financing, and overall management. The Light for Sight Foundation is a nonprofit organization that is focused on the awareness, education, and supporting research dedicated to keratoconus. The CABMM is the Center for Applied Biotechnology and Molecular Medicine, in which Farhad and I and the rest of our group have the OCB, or the Ocular Cell Biology Laboratory, under the umbrella of the University of Zurich. In the OCB lab, we conduct basic and translational research projects. The relationship between these three entities, Group Advance provides funding and consulting for the OCB lab. Group Advance also helps raise money to support the Light for Sight initiatives. The Light for Sight initiatives, or the Light for Sight Foundation, supports researchers and materials and equipment needed to conduct the research at the CABMM. And also the Light for Sight organization is responsible for the largest cross-linking congress in the world. And the Group Advance Consulting provides management services to support these educational needs. The ELSA Institute is our clinical arm. So with the ELSA Institute, this is where we see all of our patients. So all of the activities that are being done at the OCB, or the Ocular Cell Biology Laboratory in Zurich, the results are rather translated into the clinics. And with the ELSA Institute, we have one of the largest keratoconus consultations in Europe. And so we're able to really enroll patients at a very high rate, or very efficiently, and we're able to produce results. So the ELSA Institute, of course, supports the Light for Sight Foundation through donations, but also the Light for Sight supports these clinical research activities and clinical research projects at the ELSA Institute. The next entity is Imagine. Imagine is a commercial company based out in Zug, Switzerland, that commercializes the technology once it is clinically validated at ELSA and our other affiliated clinical sites. Imagine supports Light for Sight financially. It provides donations, but also Group Advance provides Imagine a lot of consultancies in terms of market analysis, intellectual property management, and general strategic management. And so this whole circle enables us to bring an idea into the laboratory, which will translate to the clinics, which will then go into commercialized product. The last entity is Imagine Italia. So Imagine Italia was founded in 2021 with the sole purpose of reducing the costs for our customers to keep our prices for our commercialized products accessible for all markets. We produce all of our devices and products from Imagine in Italy. And so by having a fulfillment structure in Italy, we're able to speed the process from the manufacturer to the fulfillment house to the customer. And also Imagine Italia provides, of course, the product to ELSA, but really the function is for Imagine to be able to establish this professional logistics and fulfillment process for all the customers internationally. So again, this is more or less the ecosystem of which Farhad and I have created, funded, and supported since 2006, and we continually grow based on the need and demands in the industry. In the end, independency is expensive, but a strategic approach to innovation and entrepreneurship, as we showed with our business ecosystem that Farhad and I have developed. The less dependency you are, the faster you can move your idea through the process. The further you go through the process, the more likely you will be securing external funds without giving up the lion's share of the ownership. However, independency requires significant capital and time to manage. It is a long-term process to build, but in the end, you will have developed your own factory and you can run future products through the machinery while fine-tuning the process. Innovation is about taking chances, but success will be dependent on the quality of the assessment and management of risks. It should not be done lightly, but everyone has to start somewhere. By accepting of the mistakes that you have made along the way, try not to repeat them in the future. Do not forget that the odds of succeeding are against you from the start. In the beginning, hope will keep you alive, but in the end, the future of the company will depend on your preparedness and team supporting the company. The company will evolve, and it should respond to market trends. There will be a lot of surprises for the good and the bad, but how you manage these surprises will be the deciding factor. Your partners are critical, and do not give away too much too soon. Most importantly, celebrate the wins and advancements, no matter how small, of your product development. You are doing something to help advance the field and ultimately help improve patient care. In the end, life is about experiences and improving ourselves. For everyone who knows me knows that I have a passion for cooking. So I'd like to conclude with an analogy to help explain entrepreneurship. Vanilla ice cream is delicious and everybody likes it. And it goes with everything. However, if you always serve vanilla ice cream, how will you know if your guests will not also like chocolate cake? So it's important to take time to understand if you can afford the ingredients to make a chocolate cake, to understand your dinner guests' preferences, prepare the meal to complement the dessert, and be willing to take constructive criticism on how to improve the chocolate cake. Not everyone will like it, and some people will be jealous because they had a similar idea but never did it.
Unfortunately, we lost the voice.
Okay.
Hi, Dr. Nancy and Dr. Parul and Dr. Single. I think you have few questions for Dr. Parul. We'll leave the floor for discussion.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think
You asked me to talk?
Yeah, whoever has a question.
Okay, I can actually talk. I would like to congratulate Dr. Parul for editing so many books. And it's really very, very time-consuming, time-taking process. And I'm in these days, I'm working on a book on pediatric vitreoretinal surgery. Actually, I just want to ask her, what are her tips and tricks to do it in a quicker and easier way? Can you just describe us how to proceed in this?
well, you are doing so much with the vitreoretina itself that I can completely understand that you are having a time crunch managing it. I guess it comes with time. By the time you are onto your third or fourth book, you get the hang of editing it. What I really do is that I get after the authors. I keep nagging them from time to time to just meet the deadline. And rather than just editing everything in the end, just keep doing it simultaneously. And I guess as a part of book writing, I do write a lot of chapters in the book myself as well. It's a good idea to create a dummy chapter so that everybody follows a similar pattern. So that takes care a lot of time spent at the end of the book when it's about to be compiled. I guess that really helps a lot. The first effort in the dummy chapter makes it easy. But I was completely awed by your surgeries, which were far from boring. And I'm really glad that all the kids were lucky to be operated by you.
Thank you so much.
If you allow me to just add a few comments. First, I'm very proud of all the speakers and panelists and among this platform. I think one of the things that distinguish being a female, whether a surgeon or a physician or in any career, but especially as a surgeon, is the passion. In the past, passion was considered a weak point in female doctors because it blurs the judgment, as some people would say. But I would say that passion gives more involvement of the surgeon. She's more dedicated to her patients. She's more willing to succeed and improve and go forward. So I think it is a source of power, and we have seen this in Dr. Single's surgeries and the way she handles because when the female looks at every single detail, and when you take in consideration these children, I wouldn't put them in the hands of anybody but a person like you, Dr. Azdek. And also Dr. Parul, very inspiring talk, and we need this passion. This is a fuel for the generations to come, not only females, also males, because they have to start
adopting the female attitude into looking into things. We don't have to go into male standards all the time in order to perfect ourselves. Sometimes they have to go into our standards to become more dedicated and passionate like we are. Thank you very much. And Nikki, so proud. You are a great addition to this symposium. I'm very happy to have you and to learn from you. And we appreciate that you're in the airport, as we can see. Best wishes for you and to Dr. Hafizi. And I always say it takes a hero behind every great woman. I just wanted to say that. Thank you. Enjoyed every single talk.
Thank you very much. Very kind words. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nancy.
May I ask one more question if we have time?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'm really impressed with the talk of Nikki, because the way you do the, you developed some projects is very important, because it's usually not taught in the school, but you usually learn it by yourself or from your mentors or something like that. But your talk was really very inspiring in that way also. And we are doing surgeries, but you have just one kid. But when you do something different like you do, you developed, so you helped so many people. I think after one step, you should look from that window and you should find something which can reach to more people, more doctors, more patients maybe. That's why I really liked your talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is very, very kind words coming from somebody like you. This is fantastic. Now, with innovation, we find that we're treading into a territory that no one has gone before. And so one thing about being a female that I find to be one of our major strengths is our ability to multitask. And so we're able to run multiple projects at multiple times and keep everything organized. And so I think, I can't take credit for all of the work that's going on with my team. It's of course a team effort, but it takes a very organized and dedicated and passionate person to be able to actually see these projects through. So thank you so much again for the kind words.
Okay, great.
For joining.
Thank you very much, everybody. Really, we are proud of having you with us in Quick, our 7th Quick. And really, as you said, Dr. Nancy, ladies have a specific passion that makes things different than the way men are doing that. So it's always their passion and their struggle with their families, which make that passion stronger and stronger, and with time, and they give more with time. They keep giving more, and they started to make a difference in everything.
Right.
Of course. Are you in Cairo?
Again?
No,
are you
no.
attending? No, Dr. Azdik?
No, I'm from
No,
Turkey.
I know you're Turkish, but because there's a few doctors I've seen just like 2 hours ago. I'm here for another conference, so I thought I might have seen somebody who looks like you. So
okay,
that's why
I'm not. Okay, thank you. But I've been there many times, for some conferences. Actually, I was just about to tell you that surgery is mostly in the hands of men in almost all parts of the world. And in specialties like ophthalmology, where you have both just medical issues and also surgical issues, women are usually forced to do medical issues more than surgical issues. This was especially very apparent in vitreoretinal surgery. When I during my junior years, there was almost nobody in vitreoretinal surgery subspecialty woman. So, but I was, as you said, I had a passion for that, and then started my journey. And now we have many, I can say, not too little, not as much as men, but many women vitreoretinal surgeons in Turkey. So, it's contagious. When you start something, it spreads. So we should do that, I guess. Thank you.
Welcome. Good luck for all of you.
Thank you.
Wishing to hear more and more from you in the coming years.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Stay well,
Bye.
everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Safe trip. Safe trip to you.
Exactly.